In Magic, we all have the archetypes that we love and the archetypes that we hate. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the archetypes that I hate. So let's get going. Number 5 is going to take the spot for free spells. And when I say free spells, I'm not talking about cascade effects or effects like Treachery and Palicron that are going to make your lands enter on tap when you cast it. I'm talking about 0 mana artifact rocks. I'm talking about cards like Pact and Negation. I'm talking about Slaughter Pact. I'm talking about Summoner's Pact. And I guess you can argue that they're not really free because you have to pay for them later, but I would 100% rather pay 0 now to counter your big spell and pay 5 of my upkeep than have whatever you're casting resolve. Then the next kind of free spell we're going to talk about are your forces. We're talking about your Force of Negation, we're talking about your Force of Despair, we're talking about your Force of Virtue, and then of course we're going to be talking about your Force of Will. You're just minding your own business, your opponent's completely tapped out, you go to swing or cast a spell, and then boom, your whatever's gone, and boom, your spell's countered, all because they decided to discard one card. For number 4, we're going to have that spot go to Storm. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like Storm because I think it's incredibly powerful. I don't like Storm because I don't like watching my opponent for half an hour play ritual after ritual, comboing off with themselves until they say, you know what, my Storm count's high enough, you're now dead to Grape Shot, or I got a ton of goblins with Empty the Warrens, or you know what, here's all the dragons in my deck, good luck. Or even just saying, hey, I decided that since you have a hand, you're just going to lose the game. Now, the only kind of Storm I do like is a Tali, the Primal Storm. He's just good old-fashioned Magic. Number 3 is going to have to go to Infect. Just like Storm, it's not that I don't like Infect because of how powerful it is. I think it just makes the game very boring and quick. Where when I play Magic, I like to have, at least 10 minutes go by of a game rather than have it be done by turn 3. And that's where my main issue with Infect lies, is it makes games short, and to me, doesn't make games fun at all. Especially if you're on the playing or receiving end. I've been on both, and particularly, it's just not my cup of tea. Number 2 is going to have to go to Hate Bears. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, Hate Bears are essentially low-costed creatures that make it so that your opponent have a harder time playing the game. This happens by making sure that their spells cost more, it makes sure that their spells have certain restrictions, limitations, it makes sure that their spells enter tapped and their things enter tapped, it makes sure that they have hard times with their libraries and searching, and also makes sure that their abilities don't work. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but this is definitely on the list for me because I'm not a fan of my spells costing more than they have to, and I'm also not a fan of having restrictions on my spells and throughout my deck. Taking the number 1 spot on my list, as I'm sure it's the number 1 spot of many of your lists, it's going to have to be Mass Land Destruction. I like playing my lands, and I don't like having them blown up. Now, let me rephrase this. I don't mind if some lands get blown up, because you have to be reasonable. Let's say you have a card that's just Stone Rain that says destroy target land. There are some lands in Magic you have to get rid of, like let's say Gaia's Cradle, or let's say you have one of the Ixalan flip lands. Those are understandable ones that have to go. But when you say, I'm going to play a spell that destroys all of your lands, that's where I'm going to have to draw the line. I don't like Mass Land Destruction because it's a never-ending cycle of you build up your lands and then your opponent destroys them all. Meanwhile, they do that, they accelerate their field to a good point, and then once you finally get your lands back to a comfortable point, they just blow them all right up again. I do not like my lands being destroyed, and that's my final comment, is I don't like my lands being destroyed. So what do you guys think of my list? Give me some comments down below, or if you agree with the list, let me know. And as always, if you like the video, give me a like, give me a subscribe, comment down below. I read all comments, and I'll always reply to all of them. And as always, thank you guys for watching.